Jax's Revenge Domain. My name is Lucas Morrison. I'm 49 years old, and until 28 hours ago, I was the Senior Plant Operations Manager at Titan Industrial Systems, overseeing two massive manufacturing facilities in Houston and Beaumont that generated $2.8 billion in annual revenue for the oil and gas industry. For 15 years, I built and maintained the operational backbone that kept Titan's supply chain running like clockwork, managing everything from hydraulic press maintenance schedules to critical vendor relationships with companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron that most executives didn't even know existed. What I didn't expect was for CEO Brandon Stevens to decide that my expertise was expendable at 11:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, delivered via a phone call that lasted exactly 5 minutes and 12 seconds. Apparently, when you're the only person who understands how to coordinate two plants, 18 major suppliers, and 12 oil and gas manufacturers, you become too important to keep and too dangerous to fire properly. That miscalculation was about to cost Titan more money than Brandon Stevens had made in his entire career. The call that ended my career came while I was in my home office reviewing maintenance schedules for a critical ExxonMobil drilling equipment order that needed to ship by 6 a.m. This wasn't unusual. Oil and gas manufacturing operates on razor-thin margins and unforgiving deadlines, especially when a rig shutdown costs clients $1 million per day. That someone for 15 years had been me. Luke, this is Brandon. I need to inform you of an immediate organizational restructuring that affects your position. Brandon Stevens' voice carried that particular tone executives use when they're about to deliver bad news from prepared scripts. I'd heard it before during the quarterly layoffs that had become routine under his leadership. What kind of restructuring? I asked, though I was already calculating possibilities while watching real-time production data scroll across my monitors. Your position as Senior Plant Operations Manager is being eliminated effective immediately. We're consolidating operational oversight under our new VP of Digital Manufacturing, who brings a data-driven approach to production management. Data-driven approach. Corporate speak for we hired someone cheaper who doesn't understand how anything actually works. Brandon, I'm currently managing an active hydraulic press issue and a time-sensitive delivery schedule. Can this conversation wait until normal business hours? I'm afraid not. The decision has been finalized and needs to be implemented immediately for digital transformation efficiency. Digital transformation efficiency at 11:30 p.m. while overseeing production lines that couldn't afford to stop. My CEO just fired me in the middle of managing active production crisis because it was digitally efficient. Brandon, who's taking over operational oversight for the current shift? There are critical decisions that need to be made in the next 4 hours. Nicole Martinez, our new VP of Digital Manufacturing, will assume responsibility for all operational functions. She has extensive experience with manufacturing optimization and data analytics. Nicole Martinez. I'd never heard the name, which meant she'd been hired without input from the person who actually understood Titan's operations. Has Nicole been briefed on tonight's delivery schedules and equipment protocols? She'll receive comprehensive transition documentation and will coordinate with plant managers as needed. Transition documentation for operations that required split-second decisions based on 15 years of institutional knowledge about supplier quirks, equipment limitations, and client-specific requirements. Brandon, Titan's operations aren't something you can hand off with documentation. There are vendor relationships, equipment protocols, timing dependencies that... Luke, I appreciate your dedication, but we have confidence in our transition planning. Nicole brings fresh perspective to operational challenges that may have become overly complex under previous management. Previous management. That would be me, the former Army logistics officer who built Titan's operational efficiency from 68% to 94% over 15 years, saving the company approximately $420 million in waste and delays. When does this transition take effect? Immediately. We need you to cease all operational activities and transfer access credentials to Nicole by 1 a.m. Cease operational activities while two plants worth $2.8 billion were running overnight shifts with multiple active problems that required ongoing coordination. Brandon, stopping operational oversight in the middle of production runs could cause significant problems. Equipment failures, delivery delays, safety issues. Nicole is fully prepared to handle any operational challenges. We wouldn't make this change if we weren't confident in the digital transition. I looked at my monitors showing real-time data from Houston and Beaumont plants, equipment alerts, supplier delays, quality control flags, timing adjustments, dozens of decisions that needed to be made by someone who understood how all the pieces fit together. Understood, I said finally. Do you need me to brief Nicole on current operational status? That won't be necessary. She prefers to assess situations independently rather than inherit previous management assumptions. Previous management assumptions, like knowing which suppliers required special handling for Gulf Coast weather windows, which equipment needed careful monitoring during humid conditions, and which clients had zero tolerance for delivery delays. I'll transfer my access credentials within the hour. Excellent. HR will contact you tomorrow about transition documentation and final administrative details. The line went dead at 11:35 p.m. 5 minutes and 12 seconds to eliminate 15 years of operational expertise in the middle of managing active production crisis. The transition process was surreal. At 12:47 a.m., I began systematically transferring access credentials for systems I'd built, optimized, and monitored for over a decade. Production monitoring dashboards, supplier communication networks, equipment diagnostic systems, quality control protocols. Transferring each system felt like handing over the keys to a car while someone else was already driving it. At 1:23 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the Titan exchange. Mr. Morrison, this is Nicole Martinez. I understand you've been managing overnight operations. I wanted to introduce myself and get a quick briefing on current status. Nicole Martinez sounded younger than I'd expected, with the confident tone of someone who'd probably managed manufacturing operations before, but had never dealt with Titan's specific complexities. Hello, Nicole. I've transferred all access credentials as requested. You should have full operational oversight now. Great. Can you give me a quick overview of what's happening tonight? Any immediate concerns I should know about? I looked at the monitors I was no longer authorized to access. You'll need to check the production dashboards for current status. I'm no longer involved in operational decisions. Right, of course, but just to get oriented. Are there any critical issues I should prioritize? The question revealed exactly what I'd suspected. Nicole had been given responsibility for operations she didn't understand, with no preparation for the specific challenges she was inheriting. Nicole, I'd recommend reviewing the current production schedules, checking supplier delivery status, and monitoring equipment alerts. The Houston plant was having hydraulic press timing issues with the ExxonMobil delivery. Beaumont had a steel delivery coordination flag that affects tomorrow's Chevron shipment. Okay. Houston, Beaumont, ExxonMobil, Chevron. Got it. Anything else I should watch for? Anything else? 15 years of operational knowledge condensed into anything else. You'll want to monitor the overnight shift supervisors. They handle routine decisions, but escalation protocols require operational oversight for non-standard situations. Perfect. And if I have questions, can I reach you tonight? I paused, thinking about Brandon Stevens' 11:30 p.m. phone call and his confidence that Nicole could handle operational challenges independently. Nicole, I'm no longer employed by Titan as of 2 hours ago. You'll need to coordinate with plant managers and shift supervisors for operational support. The silence on the other end lasted long enough for me to wonder if the call had dropped. You're no longer employed as of tonight? I thought I was taking over from you tomorrow. You took over at 1 a.m. when I transferred access credentials. Another pause. Mr. Morrison, I think there may have been some miscommunication. I wasn't expecting to start tonight. I haven't reviewed current operations or been briefed on ongoing issues. And there it was. Brandon Stevens had fired the person managing active operations and handed responsibility to someone who hadn't been prepared to take over in the middle of overnight production runs that couldn't afford disruption. Nicole, I'd recommend contacting Brandon Stevens or HR to clarify your responsibilities and timeline. I'm not in a position to provide operational guidance. Right. Okay. Thank you for the information. After hanging up, I sat in my dark office watching the city lights through my window and thinking about the production facilities that were now operating without the oversight they'd relied on for 15 years. 2 plants worth $2.8 billion managing complex operations with tight deadlines and zero margin for error, now under the supervision of someone who hadn't expected to start managing them until tomorrow. Brandon Stevens had wanted immediate digital transformation efficiency. He was about to get a very expensive lesson in the difference between administrative convenience and operational reality. My phone started buzzing with notifications from plant supervisors looking for operational guidance. Messages I was no longer authorized to answer for operations I was no longer responsible for managing. I turned off my phone and went to bed. Whatever happened next was Nicole Martinez's responsibility now. The first crisis hit at 8:17 a.m. I know this because my personal phone started ringing with calls from plant supervisors who had my direct number for emergencies but apparently couldn't reach Nicole Martinez for operational decisions. I didn't answer any of them. By 9:30 a.m., I had 12 missed calls and 19 text messages from various Titan employees, ranging from shift supervisors asking for guidance to plant managers, requesting clarification on equipment protocols, all questions that should have been directed to Nicole Martinez, but apparently weren't being answered. At 10:45 a.m., Brandon Stevens called my personal phone. "Luke, we have some operational issues that require your immediate assistance." "Good morning, Brandon. I'm no longer employed by Titan as of 11:30 p.m. yesterday. You'll need to coordinate operational support through Nicole Martinez. Nicole is having some difficulty getting oriented. We need you to come in and help with the transition. Difficulty getting oriented." 8 hours after taking responsibility for $2.8 billion worth of production operations, "Brandon, you terminated my employment for digital transformation reasons. I'm not available for transition assistance. This is temporary consultation work. We're prepared to pay emergency consulting rates. Emergency consulting rates for fixing problems created by firing me in the middle of managing active operations. I'm not available for consulting work. I'm exploring other opportunities." Other opportunities? Yes. It turns out that operational expertise is in high demand when it becomes suddenly available. What I didn't mention was that my phone had been ringing since 7 a.m. with calls from Titan's competitors, all of whom had heard through industry channels that I was no longer with the company. Oil and gas manufacturing is a small community, and news travels fast when someone with my track record becomes available. "Luke, we need to discuss this situation. Can you come in this morning?" "I don't think that would be appropriate. Nicole Martinez is fully prepared to handle operational challenges. According to yesterday's conversation, the situation has become more complex than anticipated. More complex than anticipated. Translation, everything was falling apart without the person who understood how it actually worked. I'm sure Nicole will figure it out. She brings fresh perspective to operational challenges. Remember, Luke, please, we're willing to discuss reinstatement with improved terms. Reinstatement after firing me at 11:30 p.m. for digital transformation efficiency. Brandon, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not interested in returning to a position that can be eliminated on 5 minutes' notice for administrative convenience. What would it take?" I looked out my kitchen window at the morning traffic, thinking about the 15 years I'd spent building operational systems that Brandon Stevens had just discovered he couldn't function without. "It would take a time machine, Brandon. You can't eliminate institutional knowledge and then expect to rent it back when you realize you need it." When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't experienced since leaving the Army. Complete control over my professional future. They'd fired me to streamline operations through digital transformation, and now they were learning that some operations can't be digitized without the expertise that makes them work. The complete collapse of Titan's operations took exactly 24 hours. The first domino fell at 8:47 a.m. when the Houston plant's main hydraulic press shut down due to what Nicole Martinez later described as unexpected equipment coordination issues. In operational terms, this meant Nicole hadn't understood the preventive override protocols I'd developed for coordinating hydraulic pressure with steel delivery timing. When the morning steel delivery arrived 45 minutes early, Nicole had approved immediate processing without realizing the hydraulic press needed specific pressure calibration time. The result was a mechanical failure that backed up the entire production line and triggered automatic safety shutdowns. What should have been simple supplier coordination became a 6-hour shutdown that delayed the ExxonMobil delivery and cost approximately $180,000 in missed production targets. I learned about this not from panicked phone calls, but from LinkedIn messages from former colleagues expressing shock that communication breakdowns were happening so soon after my departure. The second domino fell at 4:15 p.m. when the Beaumont plant experienced what industry professionals call cascade failure. Nicole had attempted to compensate for Houston's delays by accelerating Beaumont's production schedule without understanding that Beaumont's operations were specifically calibrated to support Houston's timing requirements. The Beaumont plant didn't just manufacture components, it provided specialized steel assemblies that Houston required for their hydraulic equipment. When Nicole ordered Beaumont to prioritize independent deliveries over supporting Houston, she unknowingly severed the coordination that kept both facilities synchronized. The result was Beaumont producing components that Houston couldn't use, while Houston waited for components that Beaumont wasn't making. By 6 p.m., both plants were operating at less than 25% capacity, with production schedules that no longer aligned with delivery commitments to ExxonMobil and Chevron. I learned about the full scope of the crisis from an unexpected source, my former assistant, Amanda Richardson, who called my personal phone at 6:47 p.m. Lucas, I probably shouldn't be calling you, but the situation here is completely insane. Nicole has been in emergency meetings all day, and no one knows how to fix what's happening. What exactly is happening? Both plants are basically shut down. Houston can't finish the ExxonMobil order, Beaumont scrapped an entire production run, and the plant managers are asking for guidance. But Nicole keeps saying she needs time to assess the digital landscape. Assess the digital landscape. While $2.8 billion worth of production infrastructure sat idle because the person who understood the landscape had been eliminated for digital transformation efficiency. Has anyone contacted the clients about delivery delays? That's the worst part. Nicole says we should wait until tomorrow to see if the situation improves before notifying clients. But Lucas, we're talking about ExxonMobil and Chevron. These aren't companies that accept surprise delays. No, they weren't. Oil and gas manufacturers operate on just-in-time delivery schedules with zero tolerance for supplier failures. Missing delivery commitments didn't just cost money. It damaged relationships that had taken years to build. Amanda, I appreciate you calling, but I'm not in a position to provide guidance anymore. I know it's just everyone's asking what you would do in this situation. What I would do was exactly what I'd been doing for 15 years. Coordinate between plants, communicate with suppliers, manage client expectations, and maintain the operational rhythm that kept everything synchronized. But Brandon Stevens had decided that coordination was too expensive to maintain. Amanda, the situation will resolve itself one way or another. Nicole has the authority and responsibility to make operational decisions now, but what if she can't fix it? That was the question Brandon Stevens should have asked before eliminating the person who understood how to prevent these problems in the first place. The industry reaction began hitting trade publications by Thursday morning. Titan Industrial Experience's multi-plant production disruptions ran in Oil and Gas Manufacturing Weekly, followed by more detailed analyses in Industrial Operations Quarterly. The articles were diplomatically worded, but the message was clear. Titan was experiencing operational failures that were affecting major oil and gas clients. By Friday afternoon, the financial impact was becoming visible. Titan stock had dropped 8% on investor concerns about production reliability, while competitors' shares rose on speculation that Titan's problems would drive business elsewhere. But the knockout punch came from the clients themselves. ExxonMobil issued a formal notice of contract review, citing reliability concerns in supplier operations. Chevron implemented emergency contingency planning to source critical equipment from alternative suppliers. Both companies sent what amounted to warning letters about the importance of delivery schedule adherence. In 6 days, Nicole Martinez had managed to damage relationships that had taken 15 years to build. The call I'd been expecting came the following Friday evening, not from Brandon Stevens this time, but from Titan's board of directors, represented by Chairman Richard Powell. Mr. Morrison, I'm calling to discuss a potential consulting engagement that would help Titan address some operational challenges we're experiencing. Consulting engagement. Corporate speak for please fix the disaster we created by firing you. What kind of challenges are you experiencing? Multi-facility coordination issues that have affected production efficiency and client delivery schedules. The board believes your expertise could help resolve these complications. 6 days of production failures that had cost millions in lost revenue and damaged relationships with major oil and gas manufacturers. Mr. Powell, what specifically is Titan looking for in this consulting arrangement? Immediate operational assessment and recommendations for stabilizing production across both facilities. We're prepared to offer premium consulting rates for expedited service. Premium consulting rates for fixing problems that wouldn't have existed if they hadn't eliminated the person who prevented them. I appreciate the offer, but I'm not available for consulting work. Not available? Mr. Morrison, we're talking about significant compensation for helping resolve a temporary situation. I'm not available because I've accepted a position elsewhere. Phoenix Industrial Systems offered me a role as Chief Operations Officer with responsibility for building their new oil and gas supply division. The silence on the other end told me everything. Phoenix Industrial was Titan's largest competitor, and they'd just hired away the person who understood Titan's operational vulnerabilities better than anyone. Mr. Morrison, surely we can discuss terms that would be competitive with any other offer. Mr. Powell, 6 days ago, Titan fired me at 11:30 p.m. for digital transformation efficiency. Today, you're offering premium rates to fix the problems that decision created. What's changed isn't my availability. It's your understanding of what operational expertise is actually worth. What would it take to bring you back? I looked out my apartment window at the Houston skyline, thinking about the 15 years I'd spent building systems that Brandon Stevens had destroyed in a single midnight phone call. It would take competent leadership that understands the difference between cutting costs and cutting capabilities. Phoenix Industrial offers that. Titan apparently doesn't. The final chapter played out over the following months. Unable to restore coordination between their plants, Titan was forced to bring in emergency consulting teams at costs that exceeded my annual salary within 3 weeks. The consultants were competent but expensive, and more importantly, they were temporary. Every solution they implemented required ongoing maintenance and optimization that Titan no longer had the internal expertise to provide. Meanwhile, Phoenix Industrial was building exactly the kind of operation I'd always envisioned. Proper coordination between facilities, comprehensive supplier relationships, and leadership that understood operational excellence required ongoing investment in the people who created it. My first day at Phoenix was a revelation. CEO Janet Rodriguez walked me through their facilities personally, asking detailed questions about equipment protocols and supplier relationships. She understood that operations weren't overhead to be minimized, but competitive advantage to be maximized. "Lucas," she said as we reviewed their expansion plans, "we hired you because you understand something most executives don't. Operations expertise isn't a cost center, it's profit generation. Every day your systems run smoothly is another day we're beating competitors who don't get it." That conversation never would have happened at Titan. 6 months later, Phoenix won the contract to supply Chevron's new Gulf Coast expansion project, a $1.2 billion deal that Titan had been favored to win before their operational reliability came into question. I was in the room when Chevron's procurement director explained their decision. Phoenix demonstrated operational stability and institutional knowledge that we require for this scale of project. Recent industry developments have made us more selective about supplier reliability. Recent industry developments. He was talking about Titan's collapse without mentioning them by name. I received a final contact from Titan 9 months after my termination. Brandon Stevens calling from what sounded like a much smaller office, requesting a meeting to discuss lessons learned and potential future collaboration. I declined politely. Some lessons are too expensive to teach twice. The vindication came in multiple forms over the next year. Phoenix's operations under my leadership became the model for efficiency that other companies studied. We implemented coordination systems that I'd always wanted to try at Titan but never had the budget approval for. The result was 97% operational efficiency across 3 new facilities, generating $4.2 billion in annual revenue. Oil and Gas Journal featured our success story in a cover article titled "Operations Excellence: How Institutional Knowledge Drives Competitive Advantage." The case study specifically contrasted Phoenix's approach with companies that had eliminated operational expertise for short-term cost savings. Industry conferences started inviting me as a keynote speaker. The Manufacturing Excellence Conference asked me to present on building sustainable operations in complex industries. My presentation drew the largest audience of the conference, filled with executives who wanted to understand how to value and retain operational expertise. During the Q&A session, someone asked about companies that eliminate experienced operations managers for cost reduction. I gave them the honest answer. You can't digitize institutional knowledge. You can document processes, but you can't replicate the judgment that comes from 15 years of solving problems that don't appear in any manual. When you eliminate that expertise, you're not streamlining operations. You're gambling with your entire business. The business school case study came 18 months later. Harvard Business School contacted me about teaching a case study based on Titan's operational collapse. The case, titled The Midnight Termination: How Operational Expertise Became Competitive Advantage, became required reading in several MBA programs focusing on manufacturing management. Students would analyze the decision-making process that led to eliminating operational oversight during active production runs, then study how Phoenix Industrial capitalized on their competitors' mistakes. The lesson was clear. Operational expertise isn't overhead. It's the foundation that everything else depends on. 2 years later, Titan Industrial Systems was acquired by a Norwegian oil services company for 45% below their peak valuation. Industry analysts specifically cited operational instability and loss of institutional knowledge as key factors that had weakened the company's market position. The acquisition announcement included a telling detail. The new owner's first priority was rebuilding operational expertise and supplier relationships that had been compromised during recent organizational transitions. Meanwhile, Phoenix Industrial had become the dominant oil and gas equipment supplier in the Gulf Coast region. When Phoenix went public 30 months after I joined, my stock options were worth $3.2 million. More importantly, we'd created a sustainable operation that could grow without sacrificing reliability. Brandon Stevens never recovered professionally. After Titan's acquisition, he spent 2 years in consulting before taking a significantly reduced role at a mid-tier manufacturing company. Industry colleagues later told me he'd become obsessed with operational documentation and knowledge retention. Lessons learned too late. I kept one memento from my Titan years, the final quarterly report showing record operational efficiency numbers. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder that expertise isn't overhead. It's the foundation that everything else depends on. Today, I'm still at Phoenix Industrial as Chief Operations Officer, overseeing 4 facilities that generate $6.1 billion in annual revenue. We've secured college funds for both my kids and built the kind of operational excellence that becomes industry standard rather than industry case study. Sometimes the most expensive business education comes from learning the difference between having operations and understanding them. Brandon taught me that expertise can't be eliminated and then rented back when convenient. Phoenix taught me that the right leadership recognizes operational knowledge as strategic advantage rather than digital overhead. They fired me to streamline operations through digital transformation. Instead, they learned that some operations require expertise to understand them, and some expertise can't be replaced with data analytics and fresh perspectives. The education cost them $2.8 billion in operational capability, but it was priceless for everyone who learned that cutting operational expertise doesn't optimize anything. It just ensures that someone else will profit from the opportunities you can no longer manage. The foundation I built at Phoenix will outlast the executives who understand its value, because we documented not just the processes, but the reasoning behind them. That's the difference between institutional knowledge and digital transformation. One builds on experience, the other hopes to replace it. They thought they were cutting overhead. Instead, they cut their own throat and handed the knife to their biggest competitor.